but the Warriors kept fighting, but it was too much Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder down the stretch. Too many turnovers, and you saw the difference between experience and a lack of experience.
Absolutely, Bonte. You're on the road. You're playing against the Sacramento Kings. You're looking for your first road win. Second half is really important. And the Warriors turned the ball over. They were sped up, missed a lot of easy layups at the rim. And Russell Westbrook on the end, and he was just getting to the rim. Points in the paint was a huge factor. They got outscored by almost 15 plus in the points in the paint. And you turned the ball over. Oh, my gosh. This was just one of those games where the Warriors could not get that momentum back. They just felt very sped up in the second half, and it took a lot of incredible shooting by Will Richards and Moses Moody to bring him back in the game.
Talk about points to the paint. Sacramento plus 14 in the second half. It was 26 even at halftime there. So Sacramento started driving, and then they made all the plays down the stretch here. But it was a riveting game. No doubt about it at the go-to-one center. They're lighting the beam right now. It was 104-104. Sacramento goes on an 11-0 run to try to put the game away. 115-104, but the Warriors kept fighting at crunch time. You saw great plays by Will Richard. Al Horford, who couldn't buy a basket. We'll get to that in just a little bit.
Incredible shot making.
What a great shot right there to cut it to three. It ain't right here, Fez. You break it down. Jonathan Kuminga, top of the key, doesn't shoot the three. Wide open. Tough play right there. Rebound Sacramento.
The first three, drove in, and this is the reminiscent of earlier in the game where he got the chair pulled on him. Took a fadeaway jumper right there. This is one of those games where at the end of the game, it's just tough to find a basket for Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, tough way to end the game for J.K., who was balling for the Golden State Warriors. Incredible game for him, Moses Moody, and the rookie Will Richard. We'll touch on him in just a second. But let's go ahead, Teddy, and get the third quarter tape rolling here where Sacramento flipped the momentum of this basketball game. They were more aggressive. They took care of the basketball. In the third quarter, Fezzi, the Warriors turned the ball over 8 times. Well, Sacramento turned that into 10 points as they won the points off turnover battle, 10-2 in that frame. They outscored 35-23, and they couldn't buy a basket. But also Sacramento got to the free throw line, Fezzi, in that third quarter, going 18 times to the charity stripe, making 14.
I mean, this is where you see the aggressiveness of Sacramento Kings. Russell Westbrook going downhill, Dennis Schroeder, you can't keep him in front of you, and then DeMar DeRozan comes alive in the second half. You know, this is the veteran leadership. And we haven't even talked about Malik Monk, who had 12 in the third. He, by himself, this whole game, outscored the whole Warriors bench. This says a lot about this Sacramento Kings team. They're tough. They went small. They pushed the pace, became the aggressors defensively, and the Warriors just could not handle that pressure in the third quarter. You saw that in turnovers. You saw them missing layups. You saw them just turning the ball over. And then when I say turnovers, you're going to have turnovers in the games, Bonte. It's the unforced turnovers. You can see them throwing the ball, the imbalance passes. Those things should not happen. But in these games where they're trying to figure out who the ball handler is, they just had a lot of forced turnovers, and the Warriors couldn't find their rhythm again.
The Warriors began the fourth quarter with an 8-second violation. That's how they started the fourth quarter after getting outscored the third by 12 there. DeMar DeRozan, 25 points, really got going, as you mentioned, Fezzi, in that third frame, 9 of 9 from the free throw line. But then you get to Russell Westbrook, who all he did tonight in Sacramento was mess around and drop a triple-double. The 204th triple-double of his career, and this was vintage Russell Westbrook, 23 points. And look at the efficiency, 16 rebounds, 10 assists. He brought the energy, he brought the passion, and Sacramento found themselves a gem in Russell Westbrook.
He turned the clock back, Bonte. This is Oklahoma City Thunder Russell Westbrook right here, the all-star, the guy who averaged a triple-double for a whole season. He brought the energy. After that first quarter, I can only imagine that the veteran went to the locker room, or at least went to the bench huddle and said, guys, we got to turn this thing up. How did you see it? You saw that with defensive pressure. The whole team, they got up on the Warriors. In the third quarter, the Warriors couldn't even get into the paint. They were outscored. I think they only scored 8 points.
6 in the third quarter.
In the third quarter, they could not score in the paint. They couldn't even get to the paint, which is how they got the lead in the first place. Getting into the paint, kicking out to shooters. Now you're forcing shots. Now guys are turning the balls over. I thought Russell Westbrook, his energy really pushed this team through. And come on, man, triple-double for your point guard, getting every rebound, blocking shots. You saw him getting a couple of shots there, really talking to the other guys, getting his teammates going. This is what happens when your team is shorthanded. And the Warriors, on the other hand, they were looking around trying to find somebody to counter that noise. You have Moses Moody in the fourth quarter try to do that, but you need the whole team to buy in there in the third quarter and really come in locked in.
Yeah, Westbrook, deflections offensively, extra possessions offensively. He even made 3 threes tonight. Russell Westbrook, not known for his perimeter game, but he had it all going all over the floor there. A great all-around game for the future Hall of Famer. But Moses Moody, you mentioned Moses Moody. Moses Moody heated up in that second half, finished with 28 points, too shy of a career high. He actually tied a career high with 6 made threes. Of course, the season high at points. And this is a good sign. Back-to-back games for Mo Money. Moses Moody starting to find it from the three-point line. And overall, I thought he had a solid game.
It was an incredible game for Moses Moody. I thought he showed a lot of poise. He was the one that brought this team back. It seemed like single-handedly. Look at this. This is on the big man right there. Just the poise and the patience to get to his spots. He is shooting the ball at an incredible rate right now, Bonte. We were looking for Steph Curry to save the team at some point during this game, looking for a ball handler. Moses said, I got this. And he got the ball, and he was making shots, getting the team going. They got the momentum back on his back, but just was not enough to bring this team across. But Moses, this is a game that he can build on. Right now, he's vying for his own personal playing time when the crew comes back, when Steph Curry comes back, when Draymond comes back. And right now, he's looking like that guy that really wants that starting spot.
Well, Steve Kerr's going to have some decisions to make, right, when it comes to rotations of playing time. Last night, Moses Moody played over 33 minutes. You mentioned in our pregame show how he was trying to D up Devin Booker. You're not going to stop him, but you can make it difficult on Devin Booker. He did that at times. And then tonight, Moses Moody plays 39 minutes, nearly willed the Warriors back with some big-time shot making in that second half, but also defensively, he's getting his hands in the passing lanes.
Absolutely. But you saw him on Dennis Schroeder. He frustrated Dennis Schroeder in the first half. He only had 3 points, Schroeder did. And you see him getting up in the grill of the guards, pushing up on them, making sure they don't get into the passing lanes. Now, you got to have the whole team buy into that same logic. When you're putting that pressure on the teams, you got to have the whole team do the same thing. I thought when the Warriors lost a little bit of that edge, especially going into that third quarter, Moses is still coming off the bench. He's doing a good job of really igniting that offense. But right now, the Warriors did not have enough. Moses was playing incredible basketball tonight, but they needed more. They needed more firepower. Will Richards is another guy who came out and was really trying to be that guy, that second guy next to Moses.
You know where we're going now. We're following the Magic. The Magic from the rookie out of the University of Florida by Humboldt Lodging Alliance. That's right, baby. He was magical with 30 points in his first ever NBA start. I remember telling Monty Poole, shout out to Monty Poole out there, I said, Will Richards is going to get some starts this season. Knowing Steve Kerr, knowing how he likes to tinker with the starting lineup, he plays defense. He can hit three-point shots. And you mentioned it, Fezzi. He's a national champion at the University of Florida. He's accustomed to playing under the bright lights.
I am such a big fan of Will Richard because of the poise, because of the maturity. He does not look like a rookie on the floor. He's making timely shots. He's making shots under pressure. He's D'ing up. He's playing in the within the defensive principles. Tonight, 30 points in the first start. I don't know. What's the last time we had a player do this?
Look at the Anthony Morrow. I remember that game back in 2008. Shout out to Anthony Morrow against the LA Clippers. Most points in a rookie's first career start. You see J.K. on our list back in 2021 with 26 points. How about Jamal Silk Wilkes, a Hall of Famer and a national champion at UCLA, and of course an NBA champion with the Golden State Warriors and the LA Lakers. That's a hell of a list to be on. Will Richard earned himself some big-time minutes after basically getting the DNP last night against Phoenix.
There's something to be said for the players that don't get to play and come into the game ready when their numbers are called. This is Will Richard tonight. He's a rookie, but he understands that my number at some point will be called because we have these older guys on our team are going to need breaks. And tonight was a perfect example. He did everything right. He was pressuring the basketball. He played with pace. And part of that team that really willed the Warriors to an incredible lead in the first quarter. And it just seems like every time the Warriors are trying to make a run back, Will was in the middle of this. He was getting big rebounds. He was running the floor, hit some incredible big shots at the end of the game. I think the Warriors found a lot of confidence in Will Richards, and I know Steve Kerr is going to trust him more in those end-of-game situations.
He's going to trust him more Friday against Denver, and especially on the road there. To go in that environment in Sacramento, we know that's a huge game up there in the 916. To do that on that stage, what does that mean for him for this season, Will Richard? Could we see him starting even more games? Because he's a nice little two-way player for them.
Well, starting or not, we've already established that Steve Kerr is going to pull people from his bench to play in different situations in the game. What you're doing in this moment is you're vying for playing time. When you're a young guy in this league, you don't know if you're going to start or not. But what you know is you are going to be counted on in different moments. And what he's done right now, he's shown that he can be trusted defensively, playing within the system, knowing exactly what to do, playing against some tough competition.
Yep.
You got Dennis Schroeder You got Russell Westbrook. You got DeMar DeRozan. And he had a game like this. This says a lot. He's actually vying not just for playing time, but he's vying for future contracts. And this was a big game that you can look back on.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So you get Moses Moody with the 28 points to 4 block shots, the 6 made threes. You get Will Richard with 30, and then you get Jonathan Kuminga, who set a tone alongside Will Richard. Now, he slowed down a bit in the second half due to foul trouble. Remember, he picked up his 5th foul with about 9:32 left in the basketball game and was never able to regain his rhythm. But you know what I love, Fezzi? And we've talked about it all season so far. Through the first 9 games, he is attacking the glass. 9 big rebounds, 24 points, and he'll learn from the late game execution down the stretch against Sacramento.
JK is a specimen. He has incredible speed, incredible shot making tonight from him from the three-point line as well. But you can see the post up. Running in transition was where he thrives the best. And I thought the Warriors did a great job in the first half, getting stops, running on transition. He's unstoppable there. Now, the next step for JK as a scorer, because tonight, you can see his numbers, 24 points. That's an incredible night for JK. But the next step for him is understanding time and score. Knowing when you can drive within traffic, understanding that you're not going to get every call. You're still one of the young players in this league. But understand the time to drive and create for your teammates, when to touch the paint, understanding that in the third quarter, they were pushing your whole team out. Your strength is the speed, getting to the middle of the paint and creating shots for others. Those are the things that the Warriors want to see. When they say Jonathan Kuminga is buying into the system, that's what they're talking about. That's like you understand your strength and using it to create shots for other guys, using it to make the team better. I think that's the next level. But right now, you're seeing incredible talent in JK.
Yeah, 6 turnovers for JK, the one bugaboo about his game tonight, and a loss to Sacramento. So moving forward here, knowing that Will Richard did what he did. Moses Moody, I thought Pods played an overall solid floor game for the Golden State Warriors. Quitting post at times in the paint, contesting very well. They've got to get Al Horford going. He's having a tough time acclimating to this new system, Fezzi.
Al Horford tonight, not his best game, but, that's part of being in and out of the lineup. Al Horford he's played, this is the period where you have a game every other day. And at his age and the minutes restriction, it's so tough. I think part of it is, when you're in the game and you're taxed with trying to play without the guys that you're accustomed to, whether it's Draymond or Steph Curry, now you're playing with the bench. He has the IQ to be able to bring these young guys together. Yep. But tonight, it's just the offense was not clicking when he was in the game. He's trying to bring this, the defense, corral the defense when the Warriors are slipping. This is a totally different game when you're trying to get your rhythm. So Al Horford just needs more time on the court.
Take me inside that locker room before we hit the break. How are they feeling right now? Value and effort. Took Sacramento to the buzzer, right? A lot of youngsters there. You look at that starting lineup, not one of those players had 5 years of experience. Is there a moral victory? Is that something the coaching staff will say, hey, we did a lot of good things to keep the spirits up? Or are they just ticked off because they felt like they let one slip away?
Well, you definitely feel like you let one slip away because this is a loss. This is a game you could have won. But there's a few things you could take away. One of them is incredible shot making, incredible crunch time, defense, and incredible execution down the stretch. What I'll take away is the end of quarter execution for the Warriors was not existent. You got to look at the end of the second quarter. Yep. You got to look at the start of the third quarter, and then you got to look at the end of the third quarter. These things are the things that you got to take seriously. They turned the ball over, even the end going into the half. You had like 3 straight turnovers within 1 minute of the game. You can't have that. You got to go into the third quarter with some energy, with some momentum. And these are things that you can't game plan for. You got to be in the right situation. You got to be in the game situation. I think these young guys got some experience in it. That's one good thing you can walk away with.
Good point there. A game effort by the Golden State Warriors, but too much Russell Westbrook, and they come up short up in Sacramento in the first of 4 matchups between their I-80 rivals. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr on the other side as the Warriors fall to 1-4 on the road and 5-4 overall on the season.